I have an interesting topic for you today, and it's how our firm and myself cross-examine on a impaired by drug case. So in an impaired by drug case, that's driving while impaired by drugs, the police will say stop you, and let's say they feel they have reasonable grounds to believe that you're impaired by a drug for whatever reason. Maybe there's some weaving on the roadway and you're not acting normally, looking off, gazing in a certain way when they approach you, or maybe even a slight slur to your speech. So they don't smell alcohol, but they think you're on drugs. So what they're going to do is they're going to make a demand for a drug evaluation. They're going to bring you back to the police station, and you have to submit to this very involved drug evaluation, which I won't go into all the steps of it, but they do everything from looking at your pupils to taking your pulse, blood pressure, a whole bunch of different balance tests, the walk and turn test, the one-leg stand, the Romberg test, horizontal gaze nystagmus test, where you follow their finger and they see how your eyes move. And at the end of that, this trained supposed expert in drug evaluation, who's a police officer, will form an opinion that you're impaired by a certain class of drugs. Might be cannabinoids, might be cocaine, might be Percocets, in a certain class. They're also, typically in Ontario right now, they're doing a urine test as well. Now, all the urine test shows, though, is that you might have a drug in your system, but that doesn't mean it's operative at the time. So for example, cocaine stays in your system. Marijuana, you could have smoked last week and it's still in your urine. So it just shows that it's there. Now, their evaluation might show, or they feel you're impaired consistent with marijuana, but urine's not very helpful. Blood is helpful, unfortunately, but right now they're not taking blood samples very much. So how do I cross-examine that? Well, I get a hold of the videotape of it, and these officers don't always do it properly. They're supposed to be highly trained, but I consider myself and our lawyers an expert in evaluating whether they did it properly, and I can point out certain errors at their assumptions and their findings are not accurate. Now, sometimes the officers won't agree with me, but we often have a backup. I will often have an expert drug evaluator, a toxicologist, testify to say, look, they did everything wrong and this test is meaningless. So the bottom line is this: you have to know how these tests are done. You have to know whether they're done properly, and you have to be able to suggest and cleverly cross-examine that their findings are not accurate. Now, ultimately, if it's a urine test, the fact that cocaine traces or marijuana is found in the urine is meaningless. The only way that's meaningful is if the actual evaluation was accurately done, and in many cases it wasn't. So we've won many of these cases by challenging the drug recognition expert that they didn't do the tests properly. Many times we'll call our client to testify, and they may have an explanation for their driving. They were, swerved on something, or were tired, etc., not due to drugs. So, there's been a lot of criticism about drug recognition evaluations. It smacks of a bit of junk science. It's supposedly scientific, but you're following fingers and balancing on one leg. I mean, a 50-year-old man on a good day has difficulty balancing on one leg and closing your eyes and walking on, all these balance tests. So that's what we do. We're experts in that area. We're trained in it, but we often do hire our own expert as well to take the witness stand and say to the judge, look, this test wasn't done properly, this test wasn't done properly. And then the judge will look at that expert and say, well, I believe him and I trust him, and the officer didn't do it properly. I think the training, frankly, could be better for the police, and they're getting better, but it's taken time, and they haven't trained as many drug recognition experts as they want to in the province. But these charges are increasing, and a lot of people are retaining us and challenging the evidence, and we're doing it quite successfully thus far. Really appreciate you joining me today, and I hope you learned a little bit about how to cross-examine a drug recognition expert. Thank you for watching our video. We are absolutely committed to bringing you the best possible criminal and DUI educational videos. If you found this video helpful, please like it and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you've been charged with a criminal offense in Ontario and require our services, please click on the link in the description below.